Welcome to News Mongolia, where we bring you the latest stories and updates from across the nation and beyond. I'm Batsir Namshar. On the News Mongolia today, National Emergency Management Agency advises caution during wildfire season. Why is public broadcasting so vital? ADB expects developing Asia's economy to grow 4.9% in 2024. For the news, stay tuned. Mongolia is currently facing heightened wildfire risks due to dry spring conditions, prompting the National Emergency Management Agency to issue a warning to the public. With March 20th to June 20th considered particularly vulnerable, NEMA urges the public to exercise caution.
In addition to advising extreme caution when engaged in outdoor activities such as hiking, NEMA has emphasized the importance of refraining from burning grass for disposal. The warning is being issued to reduce the potential for accidental fires given the increased risk during a wildfire season. Hikers are urged to be mindful of their dry environment. Smoking while hiking can lead to wildfires, as improperly discarded cigarette butts can easily ignite dry vegetation. Leaving fires unattended poses a significant risk, as flames can quickly escalate and spread in dry and windy conditions. The agency's guidance underscores the need for responsible behavior to mitigate wildfire risks. Vigilance in extinguishing fires and refraining from activities that could spark flames is crucial to prevent the spread of wildfires, which can have devastating consequences for communities and natural habitats. As Mongolia navigates the challenges posed by dry spring conditions, NEMA remains committed to promoting safety and emergency preparedness. By following the agency's recommendations, individuals can contribute to safeguarding themselves and their surroundings from the dangers associated with wildfires.
Public media plays a vital role by providing unbiased information, diverse perspectives, and cultural enrichment. It serves the public interest, ensures access to information for all, fosters community engagement, and acts as a lifeline during emergencies.
In Mongolia, public radio and television are mandated to produce high-quality programs covering various societal aspects, including politics, the economy, the sciences, education, culture, art, and sports. They must adhere to policies that uphold democracy, justice, human rights, and equality while respecting diverse viewpoints and national heritage. Programs should promote peace, support cultural development, and cater to the needs of different social groups, including minorities, women, children, and people with disabilities. Prohibited content includes anything promoting cruelty, discrimination, violence, obscenity, or anything that harms individuals' dignity or reputation. Let's hear what citizens think about public media.
When I think about public TV or MNB, I think about the major archive fund. All the historical archive footages are stored by public TV. Public broadcasting should exist, as it represents the interest of all citizens. It should exist, as it preserves national history, tradition, and customs.
It's very important it should be preserved for our future generations.
They produce good entertainment and children's programs.
It must exist. I think it's right to teach our children the national history and customs.
Customs, tradition, and nomadic history should be taught from early age. The national and cultural identity should be preserved.
The Sustainable Development Goals are a set of 17 global goals established by the United Nations in 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Several SDG goals acknowledge the significance of media and sustainable development. Goal 16 aims for peace, justice, and strong institutions, emphasizing public access to information and safeguarding freedoms. Target 1610 underlines ensuring access to information and protecting freedom. Goal 17, focusing on partnerships, highlights the role of media in data dissemination and accountability, as stated in Target 1719. Today, MNB's reach is more extensive than ever before, with coverage extending to over 1.8 million households in Mongolia. MNB reaches more than 90% of the entire population. This remarkable achievement underscores the enduring importance of public service broadcasting in Mongolia's media landscape.
On April 11th, ADB Mongolia introduced the latest Asian Development Outlook this month. ADB has forecasted continued robust expansion for developing economies in Asia and the Pacific. Despite global uncertainties, the region is expected to see an average growth of 4.9% this year, propelled by strong domestic demand, improving semiconductor exports, and a gradual recovery in tourism.
According to ADB chief economist Albert Park, the outlook remains positive, with stable growth anticipated for the majority of economies in the region. Consumer confidence is on the rise, and investments remain resilient, bolstered by improving external demand, particularly in the semiconductor industry. Key highlights from the report include a projected 7% expansion for India this year, making it a major growth engine in the region, alongside a slowdown in the People's Republic of China due to weaknesses in the property market and subdued consumption. The People's Republic of China's growth is forecasted to slow to 4.8% this year and 4.5% next year. However, policymakers are urged to remain vigilant as risks persist, including supply chain disruptions, uncertainty surrounding U.S. monetary policy, extreme weather events, and further weaknesses in the PRC's property market. Inflation is expected to moderate in 2024 and 2025, although it remains elevated compared to pre-pandemic levels, particularly in import-reliant economies due to higher food prices. Rice prices in particular are expected to stay elevated this year due to various factors, including adverse weather conditions and restrictions on rice exports in India. To address rising rice prices and ensure food security, the Asian Development Bank recommends targeted subsidies, enhanced market transparency, and investments in agricultural technology and infrastructure. Regional cooperation is also highlighted as crucial for managing rice prices and mitigating their impact across Asia. As the region navigates economic uncertainties, the ADB's outlook underscores the importance of continued policy support and regional collaboration to sustain growth momentum and address emerging challenges.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. You're watching News Mongolia. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. The Philippine president said Monday his administration has no plan to give the U.S. military access to more Philippine army camps and stressed that the American military presence was sparked by China's aggressive actions in the disputed South China Sea.
Mr. President, Gurley.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who took office in 2022, allowed American forces and weapons access to 4 additional Philippine military bases, bringing to 9 the number of camps where U.S. troops can rotate indefinitely under a 2014 agreement.
These are reactions to what has happened in the South China Sea, to the aggressive actions that we have had to deal with, the water cannoning, the lasers, the collision, the blocking of our bangka, our fishermen, the putting of barriers across Scarborough Shoal. This is a reaction to that. because inevitably, if there is a change in government, if President Biden is reelected, then we have a fairly solid ground to base our positions on, because we have already spoken with him. But inevitably, if there is a change in government, then there will be changes in policy. We do not know what those are.
The Biden administration has been strengthening an arc of security alliances in the region to better counter China, a move that dovetails the Philippine efforts to shore up its external defense, especially in the South China Sea. Marcos' decision last year alarmed China because two of the new sites were located just across from Taiwan and the southern China. Beijing accused the Philippines of providing American forces with staging grounds which could be used to undermine its security. Asked if he was concerned that allowing the U.S. military access to Philippine bases had provoked Chinese actions in the South China Sea, Marcos said the presence of U.S. troops was in response to China's moves. China has blamed the Philippines for sparking the confrontations by intruding into what it says were Chinese territorial waters and reneging on an alleged agreement to pull away an old Philippine Navy ship, which now serves as Manila's territorial outpost in the disputed Second Thomas Shoal. Marcos said he was not aware of any such deal and added that he deemed it rescinded if it ever existed.
Gurley.
Police say a man has been arrested after reportedly stabbing a bishop and churchgoers in Sydney. There are no life-threatening injuries reported. It occurred during a televised service on Monday evening, police said.
A video on social media shows a man dressed in black approaching a cleric identified as the bishop at the Christ the Good Shepherd in suburban Wakeley and appearing to stab him repeatedly in the head and upper body. Members of the congregation are seen screaming and rushing to the bishop's aid. New South Wales ambulance said they had treated a man in his 50s for multiple cuts and taken him to a hospital, and 3 others were being treated for 1 or more cuts at the scene. Australians are still in shock after a lone assailant stabbed 6 people to death in a busy Sydney shopping mall on Saturday and injured more than a dozen others.
A bakery in Gaza City reopened for the first time since the war began on Sunday, drawing long lines of Palestinians seeking to buy bread amid the food crisis in the enclave. The World Food Programme confirmed Monday it had managed to deliver fuel and wheat flour to the city in Gaza's north, which allowed the bakery to operate again.
Footage showed huge queues in the street outside the store as workers manned the production lines inside. An incredible number of people were there to get a loaf of bread, one worker told the Associated Press. A World Food Programme spokeswoman said Saturday's delivery could allow the bakery to produce 14,000 bread parcels each day. Aid convoys have struggled to reach northern Gaza, the battleground in the first months of Israel's ongoing offensive, with international organizations and aid groups saying a famine is imminent. Israel has opened a new crossing for aid trucks as it ramps up aid deliveries, but it also wants to try to delay the return of displaced civilians to the north to prevent militants from regrouping there, while Hamas says it wants a free flow of returnees. The war has had a staggering toll on civilians in Gaza, with most of the territory's 2.3 million people displaced by the fighting and living in dire circumstances with little food and often in tents and no end in sight to their misery. Large swaths of the urban landscape have been damaged or destroyed, leaving many displaced Palestinians with nowhere to return to. The conflict started on October 7th when Hamas killed 1,200 Israelis, mostly civilians, in a surprise attack and incursion into southern Israel. Around 250 people were seized as hostages by the militants and taken to Gaza. A deal in November freed about 100 hostages, leaving about 130 in captivity, although Israel says about a quarter of those are dead. Israeli bombardments and ground offensives in Gaza have killed more than 33,000 Palestinians and wounded over 76,000, the Gaza Health Ministry says. The ministry doesn't differentiate between civilians and combatants in its tally, but says women and children make up 2/3 of the dead. Israel says it has killed over 12,000 militants during the war, but it has not provided evidence to back up the claim.
Now let's take a look at some global current affairs.
Former President Donald Trump heads to court for the start of jury selection in his historic hush money trial. It's the first criminal trial of a former commander-in-chief and the first of Trump's 4 indictments to go to trial. Because Trump is the presumptive nominee for this year's Republican ticket, the trial will also produce the head-spinning split screen of a presidential candidate spending his days in court, and he has said campaigning during the night. And to some extent, it is a trial of the justice system itself as it grapples with the defendant who has used his enormous prominence to assail the judge, his daughter, the district attorney, some witnesses, and the allegations, all while blasting the legitimacy of legal structure that he insists has been appropriated by his political opponents.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Mongolia and the world major cities.